You breathe in, and the air is cold, biting. You glance around, and you are standing at the edge of a small forest. You know exactly where you are. You're 17, and it's roughly a week after the first day of winter. You're following the path you've made through the woods behind your house to where you wait for Caden to finish his classes. Your dog, Lazy, trots idly beside you, sniffing his way through the underbrush. The ground is already frozen solid and gray, and a few stray flakes of snow drift down around you. You remember you were feeling energetic today. You were eager for more practice and the prospect of hot chocolate in the kitchen after you were too chilled to move anymore. So much so that you may not have worn as heavy a coat as you should have, and you crossed your arms over your chest to protect against the chill. But that was fine. Caden would cluck over you and chastise you, and then you would go huddle together in front of the fire and swap complaints about your instructors. Well, his teachers, your tutors. Caden's stories were always so much worse than yours. They made your complaints feel petty and insincere, but he always enjoyed them, so you told them anyway. And if you made up a few just to keep the shadows out of his eyes, no one had to know. Lazy spooks a rabbit, and he darts down the trail after it. You laugh and sprint after him. You can already see the wall ahead of you through the snaking branches, a dark and imposing thing, and you push yourself even faster. You round a corner and stop. Lazy is standing still too. His tail is up. His hackles are raised. You look to the hole in the wall, the one Caden always comes through when he visits, and you realize someone is already there. He's got dark hair, and he's wearing the school uniform, and he is definitely not Caden. He's taller than you, older than you, certainly stronger, too. The hole in the wall is close to the ground, small and narrow, and always falling in on itself. He's almost flat on the ground, barely able to squeeze himself through as it is. Lazy begins to bark. The stranger looks up. Your hand lands on the handle of the dagger Caden gave you, tied around your waist. Caden always said that your meetings had to remain a secret, that he didn't know what would happen if you were found out. You can see the surprise on the stranger's face as he looks at you. You see him start to struggle, unable to decide if he should go towards you or away, and managing neither. All you can think about is how bad it would be if he got free, if he came after you, or if he ran back to the school and told everyone what he saw, and Lazy just won't stop barking. He's so loud, and the metal of the dagger's hilt is so cold in your hand, and... You remember exactly what you did. How many holes were there in the back of his neat black uniform shirt? You remember how heavy he was, how hard it was to drag him out of the wall, how many times you stumbled and fell on rocks and brambles. You remember that Lazy wouldn't stop whining and pacing the whole time. You remember how cold the earth was, how you had to break it apart with your blade just to get your fingers into it. And you remember you were so worried. You didn't have time to clean the dirt out from underneath your fingernails before you saw Caden again. But this time, when you finally follow the path back to the hole in the wall, you see Eden. She's perched on top of the wall, her gossamer dress cascading an ethereal white over the dark stones. The flowers and butterfly wings of her crown remain pristine, even in the cold. She's not wearing her collar again. She kicks her feet idly, as if she's been waiting for you, and she smiles when she sees you.
Something's bothering you,
she says.
You never did tell anyone what happened there.
She nods behind you, into the woods, where you buried him.
I wonder if he's still there now.
All of a sudden, The school behind her catches fire, a rolling blaze that consumes it instantly and stains the sky red. You watch the dark pillar of smoke rise into the sky. Eden says,
"You're going about this the wrong way."
and she's behind you now. You whirl, and she laughs before disappearing into the shadows of the trees. You run after her, following your trail back through the woods, across the dandelion hill, now lifeless and frigid, in the back door of your mansion, through the kitchen. You stand in the empty foyer of your old mansion. It is dark and shambling as always, with the same old cobwebs high in the corners of the ceiling. Lazy lies on the floor, bleeding out through a wound in his side. The front door is ajar, with finger marks deep in the trim, as if someone has been forcibly dragged out. Your head pulses in pain and blood drips down the side of your face. Eden circles you, hiding her smile behind her fan.
"Seems familiar, doesn't it?
She says.
The more directly you attack it, the further away it gets."
You recall the first time you saw Caden's scars, the way the long white whipping marks covered every inch of skin on his back. Or used to, anyway. Eden cups your hands in hers and smooths her thumbs over your own. The snakehead tattoo on your arm shifts and hovers, the rest of its body coiling and uncoiling along your arm. Magic sparks along your fingertips in a now almost familiar sensation.
"I can only teach you things, motions, ideas, theories. What you do in practice is up to you."
She pulls you close, places one hand on the small of your back, smears the blood on your cheek with the other.
"You're perfect, Magda. You can achieve anything you like. Don't you want to be loved? To be adored, admired, obeyed, worshipped?"
And then she's gone. You stumble and fall to your knees on the floor. It's a different floor this time, well-worn hardwood. There's a stinging on your face, and you press the cloth in your hand to it to staunch the blood. You remember this place too. Eden's here as well, but this is much more familiar. You're 22, maybe 23 here. It's hard to recall exactly. You've just been allowed to touch the bullwhip. You promptly cracked yourself in the face while practicing. You went to Eden and asked her to patch you up, and she's now half laughing at you, half chastising you for being so reckless while she gets her first aid kit from under the bed. Once she has it, she turns back to you, shuffling across the floor. She's wearing a plain dress, a working dress, and she has her black collar. She pulls the bloodied cloth away from the cut on your face and pauses. She tilts your chin up with a finger.
"You look good with blood on your face. But it's better when it's someone else's."